Let's talk about the other big game this weekend. It was at Anfield. It was Liverpool. It was the penultimate, and somebody actually, I think, explained to Jurgen Klopp what penultimate meant. But obviously, last home game, great scenes. I know we just played You'll Never Walk Alone and let it play out today. I thought it was really well done. Yep. And you saw what the club means, the emotions to Klopp. Then Liverpool got down to business, ended up going 4 goals ahead, and then sort of Spurs came back into things, made a few changes. Liverpool maybe got a little bit sloppy. We ended up with a 4-2, which I said is almost like a very Jurgen Klopp scoreline. What's your takeaway from Anfield?
All right, so first takeaway is Mo Salah. Okay? Now, obviously, there was a spat on the sideline. Yeah. Very angry with his manager, and they made up, apparently, according to Jurgen Klopp. He was a different human being today. Now, I don't know what's happened over the last few weeks, Rob. I really don't know.
Why things were off a little bit.
Things were off.
Yeah.
It kind of culminated in that little spat on the sideline. But Mo Salah's form and body language hasn't been great. And there's no bigger, better fans than us two of this guy over the years. But he just was really off his game, off his sharpness, off his desire, determination. And that all was back today. I mean, Spurs did a pretty good job of giving him some space to play. But Mo Salah is one of the stories today. His sharpness is even the first couple of chances, Rob, where he goes through. Remember the one he went through his right foot? He looks like he's really trying to find that far corner with it. So I thought he was the number one story of Liverpool's performance today. I mean, Jurgen Klopp's presser, he's saying, I just want us to play good football. Play our stuff, play our football. Let's get back into our attacking groove, which they did. Harvey Elliott's performance, Rob, as a 21-year-old midfield player, we've seen over the last year or so him come into the side and a little rest now and again, do some great moments, have some quiet games, have a little rest, come back in. We got to remember that these players, and we've seen it at Arsenal before our very eyes, these young players do get better with time and with reps and great managers.
Foden's a great example of that.
Yes. So Harvey Elliott's goal is a special strike, Rob, into the top corner. I thought those two players, for me, were the ones that I remember this game from, I think, for those two.
Yeah. Again, I thought it was almost a game that shows the good parts of Liverpool and what Arne Slot, obviously once he's officially announced, is taking on. Thought it showed the areas that there's still work to be done, defensively at times. Sometimes that can get a little bit sloppy and turn the ball over, and Spurs weren't able to make the most of that, even though they got a couple of goals. But in the main, I think there's a lot of good parts of this Liverpool team. You're not far off the team that's not far off being able to compete.
And it'd be really interesting with Arne Slot, right? Yeah. With this group in a slightly different philosophy.
Correct.
Right? A little bit different, because they ain't going to be the same. It's just not. Can't. You know, where he's got decisions to make, the manager, about who he plays in midfield. Is he with 3 in midfield, 2 in midfield? You're going to play number 10, you're going to play number 8, you're going to play wide players, you're going to play... I think we know it's going to be 4 at the back from what he's done before. And the sense is it's a similar pressing, high energetic football. But, you know, how does he motivate? Does he want slow football at times where Jurgen Klopp kind of does best with the quicker stuff for the most part?
Could he also come in and just go, and it's interesting because you mentioned Harvey Elliott, and I was going to say, could Arne Slot come in and see Harvey Elliott and go, you're playing in my team, son? Could he come in and see it with different eyes and not be...
You got Szoboszlai, got Curtis Jones, who's had a good first half of the season, particularly. Gravenberch, who's looked a little bit brighter. I don't know whether Endo's got a big future there, Rob. I still... And he's done great. I just think if you want something a bit more of a presence possibly in that role.
More physicality.
Maybe.
And the thing is, he's going to know a few players who he's probably want to bring in, who he's played against or he's managed and those things.
You've got your fullbacks in Trent, and you've got Robertson who scored a goal today, Van Dijk. We don't really know what he feels like the future, but there's plenty of good bits there. But I just, in some ways, I think it's good to see Anfield. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe, because of what's happening,
I think we're less about this kind of, well, they haven't won the title, well, it's not going to be so. I think you have to look at the whole piece with Liverpool and what he's done and what's achieved. And, of course, listen, if they were in a title race now, it would have been brilliant scenes and it would have been different and there'd been an edge in it. But to finish third with this group of players in his second revolution at the football club, it's still an outstanding job.
You said it, Rob, today on our air, and you said that they ain't quite where they want to be. And that's exactly right. Arsenal are where they want to be. They are excellent. They look like winning every single game. They had a couple of mistakes, the Villa game and maybe the Man City away. I mean, it's just very difficult going up against Man City, but they're not quite there. But given the changes and the announcement and everything else, it probably is the time for a change and bring somebody else in with a good squad. I mean, Jurgen Klopp, what an amazing job of trying to build another team that maybe isn't quite there yet. But the parts are there, the age is good. There's a few decisions.
We've seen those kids in the League Cup, wasn't it? The other time. There's a group of them kids coming. So. Right, let's have a quick chat about Spurs because they've been on the spotlight a little bit. I think it's 4 straight defeats in the Premier League now. Again, I'm not going to focus too much on just this last period. I want to look at the season's work for Ange, and I think overall they're probably slightly ahead of where I thought they'd be. When you think of Newcastle, when you think of Man United, when you think of Chelsea, when you think of teams who were below them in the league, there's many good things. I thought he said a really interesting thing today, Rob, when he said he was pleased that we got back to the football and the way we played because he hasn't seen that of late. He's going to play and win or lose games a certain way. But as long as people are doing that, I think he's okay with it. It's when they go away from that, Rob.
But even all right then. So if he was happy today that the way they try to play, they were down 4-0.
Yeah, I know.
And I know, and I'm certainly one to look at the season as a whole. And where they are right now, it's above and beyond what we expected, given all the changes, and new manager, philosophy, and all that. And that's real, by the way. And Harry Kane leaving, and a totally different and new signings, etc. If I'm a Spurs fan, I am a little concerned over the recent stuff and the recent performances. And I said it, and I'll say the last 4 games you said about the 4 losses on a spin. Well, they're all good teams. Liverpool got 4 against them. Chelsea got 2 against them. Arsenal got 3 against them. Newcastle United got 4 against them. Now, I know how he wants to play, and I know when that football is great, right? If you're playing against that football, you get forced back, and you don't get many opportunities. But if that football isn't good, and it's more of a, we have it, you have it, they look so short defensively because of the way that they're expanded out while trying to possess. So I know we know the answer. He's not going to change his philosophy. No. So it looks better at 4-2. But you were more concerned than me about how open they look defensively.
I still am concerned, but I'm saying what I like is that he's got a certain way of playing. When they play good teams and they play the way they are, they're not as good as Liverpool. Today they weren't as good as Liverpool. Liverpool were way more better than them in the attacking third. Way better than them in the attacking third. Their football, Rob, wasn't bad. Their bits to get into 30 yards from goal is quite good.
But the final third. Until late, when Charles came on,
and he looked a little bit of an edge. So those parts I'm okay with. But what I'm saying is, like, they went 10 straight games at the start of the season, 8 wins and 2 draws. Now it's like 4 draws. Like, I'm not going to have a downer just because they've lost the last 4 games. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, even before that, I mean, they've only.
But this group of players, Rob, in reality, if you put them against other group of players, they're not quite as good. I
always say that you want to see progression. Yeah. Now, given this kind of drop off now, if they start next year, Rob, and it's a similar. Is that's
what? Start as it start at the finish.
You expect with more time, right? Correct. And these new players, that it should kind of feel better as the season goes on. And this is a bit of a backward step.
Well, it's a good point, only to the point, like, this is Ange's first season.
I know it is.
So I'm saying, let's mark it against Klopp's last season. They're both not quite where they want to be, but there's enough good parts in Spurs to be quite looking to the future and thinking we've got a chance. But these bad parts of Spurs that need to be addressed. Yeah. I think player-wise, I think he's going to be more ruthless in the summer with some of these players because he knows what he wants. And he's got the profile of player that he wants. And if you're not that profile, you can't play his way, so the team suffers. Yeah.
Just on terms of building, because he's all about building. He talked about it, like it's important for him to progress. Yeah. The first season, I think, with Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool was worse than this. Yeah. I think the first season with Mikel Arteta at Arsenal was worse.
Pep didn't have a great first year. I had a look at the league.
So given that kind of context, where they are right now, and again, I am too much weighting the last few performances. You just feel the longer he's there, it should kind of steadily get better. But no, as a whole, for the first season, and it should be allowed plenty of time to grow, progress. And he's had 2 windows. There'll be another window where there'll be changes.
I think it's like the manager, Dan has leave. He's going to give him. Let's just finally, just on closing on this one. Let's just. have a quick thought on. So there was a certain incident, Rob, at half-time. 2 players were going off, Romero and Emerson Royal. Apparently there was, words being said between the two, whether they went face-to-face or whatever. Vicario, the goalkeeper, comes running over, gets between them, sort of pushes them to a side, and they get in at half-time. Now, I believe certain people in the press picked this up and they've said, there's fighting and blah, blah, blah. Andrews asked about it after the game, and pretty much in his very laid-back Australian way said, happens, they cared, don't mind it, move on.
Yeah.
We were asked, Paul Burmasters today was hosting the show, and asked us, as players, how did you feel?
Yeah, or do we want to put it in the highlight? Do we make a big thing of it?
It's a big, I could dare say, if we looked at a lot of games and had that kind of deal, you could be putting that in most weeks. Most games I played, as you're walking off, I might be having a row with the fullback who hasn't done well. I might be saying to the winger, get the ball in. They might be telling me I'm not tracking my runner. Those kind of confrontations happen. You get in the dressing room, you sort it out, and you get out second half, and it's gone.
So I'll tell you a couple of things, right? My biggest ever lesson, when I was a young player, Oxford United, I had an experienced player called Bobby McDonald. Been all around the block. Left back, played for Man City. Yeah. I played ahead of him, left midfielder, ahead of him one game at home, at the Manor Ground, a long time ago, small ground. And I didn't track a runner. He absolutely ripped me apart verbally. Like I'm a young kid, like 18 or 19 years of age. Of all the things that in my career after and good moments, the bollockins, if I can say that, stay with you. And you learn from it. I'll tell you what, I never ever not tracked a runner again. Yeah. And just even more recent times, I remember playing with Paul Ince. Ince was a Man United, Liverpool player, brilliant player, played for England. Every single game, he flipping. Any time I had a bad touch or a bad anything, he was all over me. And there'd be times where I'm like, I give it him back. I'm like, what? You have rows. Yeah. Number one, I know why he was doing it. He was doing it for his own game. Yeah,
to get him
to be fired up
him,
and start getting some reaction from players. And he knows he's not going to do anything he's going to try and fire up the teammates around him. Yeah. So when 2 players, and it wasn't even much, by the way. And if they care about it, and he might have said to him, well, why didn't you track your runner? Yeah. Why did you try and play offside? Or why did you get caught on the ball? And he's going to react back to it. So,
and you sort sometimes in your 100%. Sometimes that's how things have to be sorted on a football pitch. You haven't got time to have a sit-down discussion and have 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's like done, well done. I learned from that the hammering that I got, and that's going to happen throughout. And that's in life. You learn harsh lessons, and professional football is an environment where. You've got to grow a thick skin, and you've got to take responsibility, and you've got to take the hammerings.
Spurs are a team who'll have to learn their lessons, mate, because they do make individual mistakes that end up costing the team. Yeah. So I just thought it was a good point to make, just based on some of the pictures that we saw today, and not sure how much social media's picked up on that.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.